Hello, this is Spellbinder with a news report here. It's from The Guardian in UK. It says oil industry safety record blown open. National Wildlife Federation says catalog of oil industry accidents proves BP disaster in the Gulf of Mexico is not a one-off or the first time that they have done something wrong and blew up something and killed people. It's not the first time. This is a story. A pelican covered in oil from a BP leak is cleaned in Louisiana for the Rabbi Reuters. The oil industry has been responsible for thousands of fires, explosions, and leaks over the last decade, killing dozens of people and destroying wildlife and the environment across America, according to a report published today. None of the individual accidents cataloged by the National Wildlife Federation comes close in scale to BP's oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, the worst environmental disaster in America's history. But the thousands of lesser offshore spills, pipeline leaks, refinery fires, and other accidents demolish the industry's argument that BP's ruptured well was a one-off or one-time, and that the oil and gas business has been grown safer, the report authors said. These disasters make it clear that BP's disaster isn't a rare accident, said Tim Warman, who directs the global warming program for NWF, which calls itself the country's largest conservation organization. These are daily occurrences. These are daily incidents of not paying attention. They're so poor they can't pay attention, apparently. In a further grim reminder, the American Midwest was in the throes of its own environmental disaster today, with the ruptured pipeline gushing gallons of oil into the Michigan's Kalamazoo River. Enbridge Energy, which is a Canadian-owned but based in Houston, said the spill may have reached 1 million gallons. Federal government officials in Washington and the state of Michigan were struggling to stop the oil from reaching the Great Lakes. In the Gulf of Mexico, meanwhile, while BP's oil well remains capped, a tugboat crashed into an abandoned well this week and set off a 100-foot gusher of oil and gas. The Coast Guard commander, Tad Allen, told reporters today that the operations were switching from response to recovery, suggesting that the equipment and personnel in the Gulf could be drastically scaled back in 4 to 6 weeks. If you need fewer skimming vessels out there, there is going to be a leveling you need to consider, he said. The report from the National Wildlife Federation drew on records from the Minerals Management Service, which regulates offshore drilling, in the Environmental Protection Agency, to come up with a figure of 1,440 offshore leaks, blowouts, and other accidents were reported between 2001 and 2007. In addition to environmental damage, these caused 41 deaths and 302 injuries. The safety record for offshore activities was even more dismal. Some 2,554 pipeline accidents occurred between 2001 and 2007, killing 161 people, injuring 576. Man. Oil and gas is being produced in 34 states across the country, and it is just not being regulated to the extent it needs to be, said Lauren Fagel of Earthworks, which monitors extractive industries. At the times of the accidents occurred far from the industrial installation, such as offshore drilling rigs or refineries. In the particularly gruesome incident from August 2000, 3 families with young children on a camping trip in New Mexico were consumed by a 500-foot fireball from a ruptured pipeline. All 12 people were killed, and an official investigation by the National Transportation Safety Board later blamed the pipeline company for failing to detect or repair severely corroded pipes. Sounds like Michigan. That's what came out yesterday in an article in the Local Advocate. They said the pipes were corroded, and they were told back in January that with a letter sent from the EPA saying you better fix these pipes before it blows, and they didn't, and now we got the big leak running into the Michigan lake here if they don't stop it soon. 4 years later, a tanker truck lost control and crossed guardrails outside Washington, D.C., igniting 8,000 gallons of burning petrol on one of the country's busiest highways. There was a fire everywhere. The report quotes highway officials as saying 4 people were killed. Among the causes for the poor safety record was the industry's relentless cost-cutting despite record profits, said the report's authors, describing equipment failure, tank corrosion, and other signs of poor maintenance. The poor safety and environmental records were not restricted to the so-called big oil companies. Enbridge Energy has had 400 separate spills between 2003 and 2008, spewing 1.3 million gallons of crude into the environment, according to the official records. This is the crap that's going on. These people are not paying attention, period, to their safety records. They're out trying to make a big bucks, and by doing so, they're causing accidents and killing people. These people need to be further regulated, but not by the government, because all that does is they get bribed off, and the oil companies go on killing people and blowing things up. So we'll have to have an environmental protection agency group outside of EPA, a civilian group, I guess, to monitor these people. They're more or less likely to be paid off if these are the people living in the area. I think the people living in these areas should police these people, and not the government, because anytime the government gets involved, they get paid off and nothing happens. The EPA is a big crime that they're having, doing that same thing. They got paid off by BP to keep their mouth shut. There's a movie or a documentary called Fuel. It was written by a guy who 17 years ago did a science project in his high school and tested the waters down around Baton Rouge in Houston and said the waters were poisonous, and the EPA told him, no, we did those tests. You just didn't do the test right. No, there's toxins in the waters and stuff down there, and he tried to point it out, but the EPA was so paid off by these oil companies that they had to come in and deny everything and say, no, we did those tests, the water's safe, go ahead and drink. Yeah, this is the type of crap that's going on. We gotta do something about this before people get killed again. We got to civilianly regulate these people. We can't let an organization do it, because apparently they take bribes and get paid off millions of dollars to keep their mouth shut or not to say anything. This is upsetting to me. This article here actually points out what is really happening with the oil companies. Well, until next time, this is Spellbinder, upset again over these oil companies trying to kill us all. They're releasing toxins, benzene in the air. They're saying the Michigan oil up there is running down the lake. Don't get near it. Don't breathe the air near it. It's got benzene in it, a cancer-causing agent. And don't clean the birds up there because they got benzene on them. Well, that's not good for the birds, I guess. I guess they're going to die too. This is just the type of crap that's going on. And it needs to be stopped immediately. Well, until next time, this is Spellbinder saying, be good at it. Keep an eye on these people. We need to we got self cover these people and make sure they're doing things right. If we have to, we got to go out and check their pipes for them and then alert them that if they don't fix them soon, we're going to sue them. I mean, the one in Michigan should have never happened. They were sent a letter by the EPA saying, you got to do something about these pipes. They're rusting. They're getting ready to burst. And they didn't do anything. And now we got big oil spill up there going down the Kalamazoo River into Lake Michigan and the water supply of the people up there, which is going to poison people. Oh, it makes me mad. Well, until next time, like I said, this is Spellbinder. Keep an eye on these bastards. They're not doing their job. They're not policing themselves, so we got to police them for them. And have a good day. Man.